Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In this continuing my series on ranking my 100 favorite movies of all time. This time we were doing number 35 through 31 on my list. Yeah, so another great round of movies, some classics that you'll know, got a really nice, some action movies, some Christmas movies. Yeah, a lot of great stuff here. So hopefully you enjoy this here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well here on a Tuesday, kind of getting into the evening period. Yeah, I don't know about you. Is it starting to get a little colder where you're at? It was in the mornings. It's starting to get chilly. I had to put my hoodie on. My Did You See That hoodie? But now it's like in the 70s, so it's really nice. So it's kind of, the weather doesn't know what to be right now. That's the way it is in Kansas. The weather never knows what it wants to be. So every day is a mystery. But yeah, coming back to talking about my favorite movies of all time. Feels like it's been several weeks since I've gotten to this list. I just had a bunch of other stuff going on, other collaborations and live streams to do. But yeah, I definitely want to get back to this. Yeah, so starting at number 35. Yeah, what can you say? One of the greatest action movies of all time. Classic Spielberg. That is Indiana Jones, The Raiders of the Lost Ark. Or I think a lot of people just call it Raiders of the Lost Ark. The first movie of the Indiana Jones series, which technically there's 5 movies now in the series, though I think most of us just consider this like a trilogy. We like to forget the last 2 movies exist. But yeah, honestly, I've been watching this since I was a kid. Totally transfixed when I was a kid. Watched the first time, just totally shocked, about what I was seeing. Such a fun action adventure movie. Harrison Ford is so good as Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is such a great character. He's very heroic, he's very brave, but he's also kind of funny. It's just perfect casting with Harrison Ford. Is just perfect in this role. One of my favorite all-time characters, to be honest. It's so good, such good stuff. Like I said, iconic action. Spielberg here, I would say still young in his career, I feel like, as director. Here we're talking about like 81 or so, which just got nominated for Best Picture, which is interesting because it's just a fun action movie and got nominated for Best Picture. You don't usually see that get nominated in there, a fan favorite like that. But I mean, what can you say? You got the beginning scene with the, running with the boulder behind you. So great there. The bar scene is so good when he goes and meets, what's her name? Kate or something. I don't know. Or not, Carrie Allen might be her real name, but yeah, Karen Allen's character, and they have that fight scene in the bar with the Nazis and stuff like that. And I think they're somewhere, I forget now, not China, but like next to China. Anyways, man, what a great scene. You got all the tropes of guy putting his face on the bar and setting on fire and watching the fire go, and then he gets out right in time. Yeah, just a great action scene to really, it's not the beginning. Of course, the beginning part, it's a good action sequence that really sets the tone. Of course, you get the great John Williams score, amazing score as well. Yeah, and what can you say? Nazis are good bad guys. I'm always down for a good Nazi bad guy. That's what we get here in this story. And it deals, I like the whole idea of like the historical, religious themes, the Ark of the Covenant, which, very, important to the Bible, where I think houses God or something, when they put it in the temple and they carried it around back in the day, and think that they could find that again. And what would that mean? Really cool idea to, in a non-religious way, obviously, yeah. I don't know what happened to Ark of the Covenant, but I don't think it's around anymore. But interesting to think about. And the last scene with all the faces getting melted. I mean, what a great scene. Very shocking for the time period. And being a kid, man, it was like, whoa, oh my gosh. Anyway, but still such a fun movie. It's got action. It's got humor in it. Yeah, just one of the most perfect action movies you'll ever see, and one of Spielberg's best, I think, as well. So yeah, no brainer there. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, number 35, obviously had to be on my list. Number 34, another actually, I guess you call it an action movie, another iconic action movie by one of the great action stars of the 80s. This is First Blood, also known as Rambo, but the first movie is called First Blood, starring Sylvester Stallone. I mean, he's coming off of his Rocky movies, some of his Rocky movies, and this is the second most iconic character behind Rocky Balboa, I would say, that of John Rambo. It's interesting. What I love about this movie, I mean, there's really not like a lot of action in it, though it would start off this great action franchise, the Rambo series, which I think the second one's probably more action. It's a better action movie in that sense, but I think what I love about this movie is just the whole storyline, the drama of it. I think is really well done. I think Sylvester Stallone's really good in the performance too. To me, it's like an Oscar-worthy performance, especially at the end when he kind of just goes off and he says, "It's over. It's not over. It's never over. You just can't turn it off." He goes into that whole spiel. Man, what a great scene! Probably the best scene in the whole movie for me. But even in the beginning, I just love how here's a guy that like you do not want to mess with. He's not only Green Beret, but he's like the toughest of the Green Berets, and they're very tough, individuals in the army. And he's coming back from Vietnam War, and he's just going into town to get a bite to eat, and the sheriff is just hounding him and basically telling him he can't be in the town, kicks him out of the town basically, but he feels like, what the heck? Like, I served my country, I have PTSD from it, I've seen all my friends die, that I've served with. And I've been through so much horrific stuff, and then I'm having struggle coming back to, after I've, sacrificed everything and come back and everybody treats me like crap. And it's like, I can't even get a bite to eat in this town after all I've done. I like that whole thing. And it's like, he's like, no, I was like, I'm not, I just want a bite to eat. Like, there's nothing against me, getting a bite to eat, nothing constitutional. There's nothing he's doing against the law. But this stupid sheriff is just, going way beyond his power to do this, arrest him and everything. And it was a mistake because, of course, then he was badly treated in jail, and it caused him some PTSD, and he freaks out, and then he escapes. And then they act like he's like, this serial killer wanted man that they have to track down. He's just a war hero, just wanting to get a bite to eat, and was, behaved badly. So it was just terrible work by the sheriff department there. And then now they're in the forest, and that's his domain. It's just a really interesting story, I think, structure wise. And like I said, Stallone's so good at this main character, and he's like, and when Taggart, I think it is comes on, and says, so many great lines, like, well, if you're gonna go after him, just bring one thing. Remember, bring a lot of body bags or something like that. Like this guy's gonna kill a lot of people if you go after him. That's how good he is. And that whole scene's great too when Taggart comes on and lists all the things about Rambo, and they realize, oh, we're just not dealing with just a normal veteran. We're dealing with like one of the toughest ones you're ever gonna find. And yeah, I love when they go into the forest and he gets them in traps, or he doesn't kill them, but he kind of hurts them really badly. And he has the knife to the sheriff's, and it's like, I could have killed you. I could have killed all of them. It's like, if you want a war, leave, or it's like, if you want a war, I'll bring you war. What he's saying, like you don't understand what I've been through. And it's like, if you keep coming at me, I'll help you know what it feels like to be in war. Like, I'll give you that feeling, and you won't like it, so it's best just to go away. But of course, the sheriff won't do that, and escalates the situation way more to the ending anyways. But I just love that about that character. He just kind of, he don't want to bother anybody, but because they pushed him so much, of course he says, they pushed me first, they drew first blood, that cop, he's one that pushed me into this, you know. And so it's one of those things like they didn't know what they're dealing with, and they accidentally opened up something they shouldn't have that really caused them a lot of trouble. And so it's like one of those things like, hey, just be nice to people. You don't know who you're dealing with. You don't want to open something else you don't want to open up. But yeah, absolutely great, fantastic movie. I think the whole story, the psychology of it, the character, so great. The ending, oh my gosh, what a emotional scene. But yeah, it's First Blood at number 34 on my list. It's only Rambo movie I have. It's my favorite Rambo movie, for sure. Actually, a lot of action movies to begin this video with, because now we're getting to probably my favorite action movie of all time. I'll say my favorite modern day action movie, and that is John Wick Chapter 2. I got this really cool steel book here. Yeah, the second movie in the John Wick. Now there's 4 movies. Maybe there'll be a 5th one. We don't know. But yeah, with Keanu Reeves, I mean, best character he's ever played. And it's just a cool character, man. It's like, and the action's done so incredibly well. Like I said, this is probably my favorite action movie. Action scenes are so awesome. And the director who's, I know the director's gone on, I think, direct other things I've enjoyed. He's a top-notch action director. Now, anytime I see his name, I'm like, okay, we know we're gonna get some good action. Because I don't know, to me, it kind of changed the game. Like, I feel like I've never seen an action movie. I mean, really with the first John Wick. I should say I've had 3 John Wick movies in my top 100. I love this. It's my favorite action franchise, really, of all time. It just, to me, changed the game of action movies. Like, especially, like I said, when I first saw first John Wick, I thought it was okay, but I wasn't like totally transfixed with it. But I thought, you know, there's some good action scenes. And then this movie came out, and I was like, I wasn't like totally like, oh, I really want to see it. I was like, yeah, I guess I'll watch it. Like, I don't know why I wasn't like totally on hype on it. And then when I saw it, I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the like greatest action movie I've ever seen. And then I became obsessed with John Wick. And then the 3rd one came out, and I was really hyped up for it, and it was really good as well. The 4th one I was disappointed with, but I don't know, just something about the way they do action. It feels like, you know, what makes it so great is that Keanu Reeves really trained. He trained really hard, and he's like in his upper 50s probably, or mid 50s at this point. But he's like in his upper 50s, almost 60 probably by the time you get the 4th John Wick movie. But the fact that he trained, you know, did judo, he really knows all these moves. He did weapon training, he did car training, he's really drive. So in all the scenes, it's like you try to do the least amount of stunt work as you can and have the real actor be in the scene. And man, does that make the whole scene work so much better when you're like, oh, that's really Keanu Reeves driving that car and doing those crazy stunts. And that's really Keanu Reeves doing these fight scenes and doing these different, you know, throws and stuff usually. And that's really, you know, John Wick, you know, doing this stunt or that stunt and doing all the gun work, and it's not a stunt double. Somehow that just really elevates the movie, because I've seen so many action movies, and yeah, you know, when you watch something, you're like, oh, that's a stunt person, or yeah, that's a green screen, you know, or that's, you know, whatever, and all that. But this, it's like, wow, it feels like it's really John Wick, you know, doing everything. It's really Keanu Reeves there. And also that, and like, again, not the thing that kills action movies is quick close-ups of, you know, editing, choppy editing with quick close-ups, so you don't really like, you're like, what's going on? I can't quite figure out what's going on in the scene. But when you pull the camera back and you watch the whole scene and unfold, and you get long takes, it makes the action so much better, because they're like, oh my gosh, they're just doing this all in one take. It looks real. You know, you get exactly what's going on. You get this, you know, where everybody's at, and the space and everything. I don't know, it just makes it so much better, and they do a good job. Also, I think that John Wick is the best at reloading guns. I always said, it's funny, not only is he good at shooting, because like every time he shoots a gun, he's, you know, pitch perfect every time. Boom, headshot, 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 headshot. Like every shot is a headshot, you know, like he never misses ever, and everybody misses him. It's a whole thing, you know, in action movies, you have to have that. But what I love is how, you know, in an action movie, man, you can get a gun and boom, 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 you're shooting it, and you might reload every once in a while, but you don't really think about the reloading part. But in John Wick, man, he's boom, 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 reload, boom, 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 reload. Like it's crazy how he constantly reloading, so it feels more real to me, because it's like, oh yeah, you'd be running out of bullets, you know, pretty soon, and you have to reload the gun. And even how he reloads is always like cool. Like he finds really unique ways to have to reload his gun while he's in an action scene. I think done so well. But I'm just talking about the series. I know you're talking about the movie itself, but Um, and I love the lore. The whole underground assassin lore really gets bigger in this one, which I really like. You get the whole marker introduced here, and so that's a cool whole storyline that like, oh, he has to try to get out of the mob and marry his wife and all that we see in the first movie. He had to do this impossible task, and to do that he needed the help of this other guy who he had a marker on. So then if he ever asked him for uh you know uh, to do something for him, he has to do it by like the law of the underground assassins, or he's in trouble. So now he has to, even if he doesn't want to, he has to help this guy out, which then leads to a lot of people putting a big hit on him. And so, oh man, that scene where he's trying to get to the subway, and just one hitman after another keeps coming after him, and he has to kill one after another. I mean, it's one of the best, like I said, action wise. Oh my gosh, like it's like an action fan's dream. Just like your main character just gets attacked, and just one attack after another, just trying to get from one spot to the next. And it felt like, man, is this just gonna be one action scene after another? Like, but no, there's good scenes in between of like just establishing what's going on, but still like that scene. Oh my gosh, so many different action sequences and people to fight. And it ends with him fighting Common. They have a great fight scene on the subway, knife fight scene as well. But yeah, just love that. And it's just one of those things, that's what makes these kind of movies so good. If you do an action movie and there's a hitman, there's a hit on him, oh my gosh, a lot of action's coming. But I need to talk about my two favorite scenes. Like one, when he goes in to assassinate this one girl, and then he's trying to escape through the catacombs of Italy, which cool setting too, being in Italy. And he's in the catacombs and he's being attacked by like the guy that he's the main villain's henchman, and he's going down these catacombs and he has these guns placed in different spots. Oh, such a cool idea of him having to be chased and him firing back. And then he comes across one of the guns that he set there on purpose just for this case, and then he has to get that, and it's like this automatic gun, and then he uses up all the bullets, and then he goes and he gets like a shotgun that he put in another spot, and now he's using a shotgun. So it's a great use of different type of weaponry. And yeah, absolutely incredible scene. Then he has that fight scene, one-on-one fight scene with Common, which was really great. Then the other one is the very end where he goes to get the main villain at like the art gallery, and that's really cool because, of course, again, he always makes sure he shoots everybody twice to make sure they're dead. And so there's blood splatter all over this nice, art. And there's a really long hallway scene where he and what I said I love about John Wick is he'll do like some kind of judo throw while he has his gun, judo throw you, and then shoot somebody while he has you like in some kind of hold. Like I don't have time to shoot you right now. I got to shoot this guy because he's coming at me. So, puts you in a hold, shoots this guy, then shoots you. I mean, I've never seen that done before. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. And that whole scene is so great with him going down that long hallway of artwork around him, and people are coming at him, and he's just find different ways to shoot them in the head. Oh, so good anyways. But yeah, I can go on and on. I've gone a long time. But again, if you haven't seen it, gosh, you gotta watch a John Wick. It'll change your, like, now when I see an action movie, I go, gosh, what would this be like if John Wick was in it? That's anytime I see an action movie, I'm like, it's okay, but man, if they had John Wick in this movie, it'd be better. That's what it just does. It kind of ruins action movies. I'm like, I watch an action movie, I'm like, it's no John Wick, Anyway, so John Wick Chapter 2 and number 33 on my list. All right, number 32, we're going to go to more family-friendly movie. This is, right now, it's actually my second favorite Christmas movie. It has been my favorite Christmas movie for a long time. There's another movie that's higher on my list, actually, that I like even more. But this is Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, with Jim Carrey playing the Grinch. Yeah, I saw this in theater back in 2000. I think it came out somewhere around there, early 2000s. And it was a big movie. It was jam-packed, I remember, in 2000. It was the biggest box office movie of that year. Yeah, and I was a big Jim Carrey fan. Like I said, during the 90s, I never missed a Jim Carrey movie. I saw them all in the theater. And this is kind of during a period, though. He was kind of going to more serious roles and stuff like that. But then he does this role, and it's my favorite Jim Carrey movie. And it's a good story. I mean, obviously, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is a classic Dr. Seuss story. My favorite Dr. Seuss story, I would say. The old cartoon series is pretty good as well. just a story of this guy who's, mean and hates Christmas and wants to ruin the Who's. So he steals all their gifts to try to ruin their Christmas, but then sees that they're still, having Christmas. And like, how's that possible? Well, the gifts are important. It's family. It's important, being with your family around Christmas time is more important than even the gifts and stuff like that. It's not about the material goods, it's about, like I said, friends and family, and being with loved ones, and having those good moments with them and being together. That's what Christmas is really about. I mean, it's really about Jesus Christ's birth, but that's another subject. But secularly, it's about that. And so it's a good story, and of course I love the whole arc of the Grinch going from being mean to being very nice. It's a lot like A Christmas Story, of Scrooge. I love those kind of arcs where the villain, becomes good at the end. Spoiler alert if you don't know that, but this is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Oh man, when I saw this movie theater, I died laughing. I was a kid at the time. I say kid, I was a teenager at the time. And I still watch it every Christmas, of course. Never miss it. It's one of those must see every Christmas, And I watch it every Christmas, and I laugh every time I watch it. It's not a long story. It's a Dr. Seuss story, but somehow they were able to fill out the whole, make a feature-length film out of not a lot of plot or anything. And they did a incredible job. And Jim Carrey, of course, he's probably the greatest physical comedian we ever had. And the makeup work was fantastic. I think it got nominated for the makeup and stuff like that. So it got some good Oscar nominations. Might even won makeup. I wouldn't be surprised. Good makeup work on turning Jim Carrey into the Grinch. It's like you can't see him, but yet he still has a Jim Carrey mannerism. So you still go, okay, I know that's Jim Carrey by the way he acts. But man, he's hilarious. You can tell there must be a lot of scenes where he just improvised. That's what Jim Carrey is. He's just so good at coming up with funny stuff on the spot. So, he probably improvised a lot of it. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. What can you say? Like the scene where he's going to be the Who chair, whatever, the chairman of the Who's, whatever, the chair of chairs, whatever. And he accepts, but then they have to put him through all this stuff like, pudding tasting and this, and then he's doing sack races, and he's not into it. But then as it goes on, he gets more into it, and it's just an absolutely funny scene of him going, "Come on, bring it on," as they're feeding him full of pudding or whatever, and then cheating at the sack races, and oh, what an absolute hilarious scene. Good cast though. Jeffrey Tambor is great as kind of the villainous mayor as well. Um, yeah, so much good stuff here. I mean, and then the scene where he burns down the tree, and after he gets humiliated in front of everybody, and then he's wrecking havoc, and he gets in the little car, and it crashes, and it's gonna blow, and then he does the slow motion action. That's probably the part I laugh the hardest every time I watch it. I absolutely love that scene where he's also the little car makes a big explosion and he's thrown back like an action scene. Oh, it's so good. I can go on and on. There's so many great scenes, and then in the end, it's actually very heartwarming when he has that moment where he realizes, oh, like it isn't about the material goods. It's about Christmas, about something more, and then getting the true meaning of Christmas, and his heart grows 3 sizes. And then becomes a good person. Oh, such a great scene. Kind of heartwarming scene, to be honest. And yeah, it's one of those movies, again, it's just one of the funniest movies I think ever made. Great story, great arc overall. Yeah, I can't get enough of this movie. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. All right, last movie we'll talk about, number 31. Yeah, my favorite Bill Murray movie. That is Groundhog Day. Bill Murray and Andy McDowell, you see in the lead there. Yeah, I mean, this is early 90s, but it's Bill Murray at his finest. And it's another one where I like that the character is kind of a jerk at the beginning, but he comes really good at the end. So the whole character arc is great. But the whole story is, I love it for the story. The idea that this guy is reliving the same day over and over again, which is Groundhog Day. And the way he reacts to that, not at first, kind of confused about what's going on, but then we realize what's going on. He tries to use it to his selfish advantage, but still is not getting any any pleasure out of that. And then he tries to kill himself over and over again, but so he's going through the grief process that he's kind of depressed and doesn't want to live anymore because he's living the same days. He's just not accomplishing what he wants, so he just doesn't want to live anymore. So it's kind of interesting, the kind of the different stages of, that he's going through, getting over this supernatural event, basically. And then when he kind of goes to the idea that, oh, he can use every day to help other people. And so that's what's so cool about the story. It's like, oh, that's when he kind of finds, that's when he becomes a good person, because he realizes, oh, I can use this day, make myself better, become a piano player, do ice sculpting, and he ends up saving people's lives and stuff like that. And I don't know, he just becomes a good person by that point. Because he wants to kind of falls in love with the Annie McDowell character, but she doesn't love him back. And so he's trying to, when he stops trying to fall in love, trying to get her to fall in love with him and just make himself a better person, that's when she falls in love with him. So I don't know, it's just a really great story overall. One of the greatest scripts I think I've ever written. Very funny, but yet very profound at the same time. And there's one moment that makes my favorite, it's kind of my favorite scene, I guess. It does make me cry every time. I mean, it makes me cry, this movie, when he tries to help the homeless man, but each day he tries to help the homeless man still dies. And he's trying to figure out how to save this guy. And he kind of comes around to realizing he can't save him. Nothing he does can save this guy. It's just his time to go, because he's old and he's in bad health. And, that scene where he realizes he can't save this guy that he doesn't even know, but he, sees on the street every day. A very touching scene. Very, like I said, it makes me cry every time. Really good performance by Bill Murray. To me, it could have been an Oscar-nominated performance. I think he does an absolutely fantastic job. Chris Elliott is pretty funny here as well. But yeah, it's another movie I watch every year and love it. Every time I watch it, I never get tired of watching it. It's just an absolutely fantastic movie. Yeah, that's why it's here at number 31, Groundhog Day. All right, those are the 5 movies for this time period, 35 to 31. Feel free to comment. What do you think about these movies, or these movies that you have or that you watch over and over again that you love, that be in your list as well? Love to read all comments. Appreciate you guys for commenting, and I hope you're enjoying the series. Besides that, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all. Hope you have a good day.